Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate you guys coming. Obviously, recapping the game, disappointing result. I thought, for 3 quarters, we certainly didn't play our best football, and certainly credit to Georgia Tech. They earned the win. But I just felt like we consistently shot ourselves in the foot on both sides of the ball. We talked to our team about that. Just an overall lack of execution the first 3 quarters. We've got to be better as coaches. We've got to be better as players, and we've just got to put ourselves in better positions going into the fourth quarter. And then obviously, extremely proud of our fight in the fourth quarter for us to really have played the way we played and be down the way we were down, but then respond. We get the huge punt return from Samir, and then defensively on a day where we didn't play great again, we were able to go out there and get a bunch of fourth quarter stops to give us our shot, and then felt like getting into overtime was our best chance to win. Really felt like we had all the momentum and felt like we were in position to be successful, and then unfortunately we just weren't able to finish that last drive, and really put Charlie in a bad spot, forcing him to go out there and try to kick a 52-yard field goal into the wind. And so didn't have much choice at that point down and distance wise, but probably should have managed that last drive a little bit better, and so take the onus for that on me. And I shared that with him. And so that's last week. It's disappointing, but it's football. And so we've got to recover, and we've got to bounce back this week, and we've got to be better. And obviously we've got a really big opponent coming up. I think everybody's aware of the magnitude of this game and the magnitude of this rivalry. Got a lot of respect for what they're doing over there at Chapel Hill. Offensively, they're one of the most potent offenses in the country. Drake May's throwing the ball all over the place and having a lot of success. They got a lot of weapons outside at the wide receiver position. They've got a lot of running backs that have broken explosive plays and are doing a really good job. And up front, I think they're kind of growing into themselves a little bit as the year goes on. Defensively, I think obviously they're a much improved defense over the last 2 weeks. We've really focused a lot of our attention on what they've become the last 2 weeks. I think they've become a lot more physical. I think they're getting a lot more comfortable in their scheme with Coach Chizik. I think he's obviously starting to impose his philosophy on that group. And I think you've seen a team the last 2 weeks in ACC play that has shown a markedly different style of defense from a execution standpoint, not necessarily schematic standpoint. And so, we're going to have our hands full with them. They're extremely athletic. They're extremely talented. We're going to have to go out Saturday night and play our best game of football to give ourselves our best chance to win. I think obviously we've got to find a way to get stops, and that's going to involve containing him, and not allowing him to get outside the pocket and create plays with his feet, because I think he can do both. When he gets outside the pocket, it's not necessarily just the run. I think the first thing is to try to find someone who shakes open and hit a big pass play, and then if that breaks down, then he is able to get out and run the football. And so we've got to find a real good plan to contain him and limit his explosives. And then obviously Riley's going to have to be extremely efficient. We've been through this before with 2 really good quarterbacks in a game where Riley's going to have a little bit of onus on him to kind of match, and he's going to have to do that Saturday. He's going to come out and have to play a really good football game for us to have success. Mo McIntyre is going to be season-ending. He had a lower body injury, and so he'll have surgery Thursday, and so he'll be done for the season. I think everybody else who got hurt Saturday, we anticipate back. I think we anticipate Jalen Coleman being back. He was a game-time decision Saturday and just couldn't get over the hump, and so we decided not to play him Saturday, but we should have him back. And then I think the guys that we spoke about, Anthony Nelson won't be back yet, and there's one other guy. Trey Freeman probably won't be back yet either, although Trey's got a chance depending on how his recovery goes towards the end of the week, so he could be a game-time decision. And then Dorian got in Saturday, and we expect him to be back and ready to go this week as well.
Okay, do you feel in for McIntyre? Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you think the offensive line performed without him, changing on the fly Saturday, and how will that go forward?
Yeah, I mean, we've been rotating all year, and part of that rotation has been Mo out of the game. And so, we've been preparing for the possible injuries and then keeping everybody as fresh as we possibly could. And so I think it's the next man up, and he's got to step up and he's got to go. And so you'll see a lot more of Jack Burns and Chance Lytle, and then I think a kid like Justin Pickett becomes a lot more involved in what we're doing. I think we have to make sure we handle our emotions. It's not, our kids don't need to be reminded who we're playing. They certainly understand the significance of this game and the significance of this game to our fan base, our community, our alumni, to themselves. And so I don't know that necessarily you ratchet it up. I think we talk a lot about what the energy and emotion is going to be like Saturday night and making sure that we handle that the right way so that we can go out and execute the things that we need to execute to win the football game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's critical when you're playing an explosive offense, and they certainly are one, that you don't lose touch. You know, we're going to have to go out and we're going to try to to get out on a good foot. We're going to have to make sure that we stay within arm's length and hopefully build a lead to give ourselves a chance to sustain what they're going to bring on offense. You know, they're going to be really explosive, certainly going to be a challenge for us. And, you know, for us to have success, we're going to have to make sure we start quick on offense ourselves. You know, he was okay. You know, I thought he managed the game decent. I thought early in the game, I thought he was in a decent rhythm. They did a really good job of kind of, you know, he took some shot plays and they just kind of bailed out in coverage. So you saw a lot of checkdowns to the backs, and we were able to get some 8-10 yard gains to the backs. And I thought we handled that well. And then I thought as the game went on, I thought the pressure started to increase. I didn't think we did as good of a job picking blitzes up. And we had hats on hats. We just didn't sustain blocks particularly well. And then I think that got him a little bit antsy and got him out of rhythm. He missed some throws that he usually doesn't miss, missed a couple reads that he usually doesn't miss. And so, you know, we obviously got to look at what we're doing, what we're asking him to do, and make sure that he's very comfortable with where he needs to go with the football all the time, and, you know, clean that up and get a little bit better at our execution this week.
Coming off a tough loss, does it help to face a team like Carolina, because they'll have your attention obviously all week long?
Yeah, I think this team is beyond worrying about getting up for the next game. I think we come back to the same thing, but we've invested so much into this season. You know, we asked the question after Kansas, and we came back against Virginia and proved that we could bounce back. And you know, I have no doubt that we'll bounce back. You know, we've got to go out and play better football. That's the reality of it. So to do that, we've got to have a great week of practice. We've got to execute better in practice, and then we've got to carry that over into the game field on Saturday. And we got to get off to a fast start, and we got to execute what we're trying to do at a higher level for us to have success. Yeah, well, we've had 3 late starts this year, and we've been up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter or before the other team scored in all 3 of them. So hopefully we start that way, and not the way that we've started in some of our other games where that wasn't the case. So, no, I mean, your routine and the rhythm that you do, you just have different ways to get them ready, and you're a little bit more relaxed, a little bit longer when you have an 8 o'clock kickoff. And I think as coaches, you got to be cognizant of the kick time. How you're feeding them, how your nutrition works over the last 48 hours to make sure that they're fueled and ready to go by the kickoff. You got to make sure that you don't ratchet it up too early. You know, I think sometimes you know, Friday night you become this like intense team, and that doesn't last, and so then you drain out by midday on Saturday, and then you come to the field Saturday and you're not where you want to be. And so I think you got to pay some you know, heed to that and make sure you're doing that the right way. But it's just, you know, it's kind of our schedule, the way it's built in, and so far, thankfully, it's been working. Yeah, I mean, I think you approach it the same way. You know, the preparation is what allowed us to get the game into overtime. And there's still confidence in the training, and there's still confidence that, you know, there are things that are happening on the football field that are not physical, that are costing us, you know, the ability in the early parts of that game to get in the lead and get ahead, you know. And so the reason why some of our first half drives ended wasn't because of mismatches physically. You know, we shot ourselves in the foot. The reason why some of those drives got started by their offense isn't because we missed tackles or we couldn't cover them. It's because we shot ourselves in the foot. And again, that's not to take anything away from Georgia Tech. You know, they executed and they played better than us. But, you know, we kind of just focus on those parts of it and where we can clean up our execution. And I think the kids see that. They certainly felt it on Saturday, because when we were able to clean up and execute the way we were capable of, we were able to get ourselves right back in the game.